All right, podcast listeners, welcome back to the Wise Mindset Guy podcast. I'm your host, Nat Plastino, and I thank you once again for tuning into my show. Today is I'm a little bit nervous about this episode today because it's my first guest on the podcast, and it is my partner in crime, my spouse, which I welcome today. Welcome, Cintia Santos.
Hey, hello everybody. Thank you, Nato, to invite me for your podcast.
Yes, she calls me Nato, so I have to give you a little bit of explanation about that first. That you know me as this podcast as Nat Plastino, but I'm also known as many names, which my wife has chosen because I gave her that explanation when we first met. Like not when I first met, I think my second date, I asked her, "What would you like to call me? Like what can you call me?" And I said, "Call me whatever you want." Right? I said, and then she said, I want to go with Nato because my name in Italian, like it's a very, very complicated Italian named Fortunato, which of course means lucky, right? Which I am. I'm always lucky. And
Of course you are. You
and
married me.
right, exactly. So basically I gave her the option. This is what do you want to call me? I know by these three names. So just pick one, right? And she said, okay, I'm gonna go with Nato. So if you hear the word Nato, it's basically because it's what she chose to call me, right? And well, many of my friends choose to call me. It all depends who's listening and who decides to talk to me, right? So again, welcome to the show. Uh, Information about yourself. You probably know she has a little bit of an exotic accent, and that accent is from where again? Where are you from again?
I never heard the word exotic accent.
Yeah,
Now this is new. I think
yeah,
we had to talk about that.
right, right,
So, where I am from again? That is a very interesting question. We can start a whole podcast about that.
right.
I was born in Brazil.
Yes.
So this is why my accent is, this is why I speak this way, because I spoke, my first language is Portuguese. Yes. So I'm not going to the nitty gritty information about,
Right.
because
We don't.
that's where I'm from.
Mhm, right.
You know, go ahead. Sorry.
Exactly. So, um, so yeah. So basically, we've been married for about 11 years now, going on 12, and I think our, raising two kids has been quite a journey. Everything, but and then we got into more of a like when you start having children, you start to notice that you go into this phase where your whole life revolves around them. And then what happened was, I'd say a few years ago, we all know what COVID happened. And when COVID happened, things just completely changed. And then we went into a process where we were seeing each other on more lengthy basis, of course, because we were at home and so forth. And we need to adapt to that kind of difference. I still had to go to work, of course, which I still do, but the thing is, we had to adapt to certain changes in the environment that we were forced to, and then from there, COVID gave us we call an awakening. You call it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that awakening, and some people say, "What do you mean by awakening?" But I mean, like it's more an awakening in the sense that we woke up from the rat race. Now, if some of you listeners have spoken to you before about the rat race, it's the idea that you go to work you wake up, you go to work every day, you come home, you do your thing, and it just it revolves in a circle, in a circle, constant circle, and it becomes very boring. And then when you finally realize that you're going down this loop, you start to wake up and start going into more a different journey, especially in midlife, right? And what I call is the spiritual journey. And I know sometimes people don't like the word spiritual. I think it's corny. It doesn't make sense or doesn't exist. But when you start to go into that awakening, which we both did, we start to realize that it does exist. It is something that we have to learn completely from scratch and go down a completely different road. I would say so.
Right. It reminds me when you said that when we were watching the first time we were watching Joe Dispenza on Gaia.
Yes.
Remember that seminar that we bought, and then he was he was giving an example that if you take your day for today and put for tomorrow or in 30 years will be exactly the same. You go
Correct.
to work, you wake up, you do your coffee, you go to work, nah, nah, nah.
Your past
And
becomes your future. Your past
correct,
your past. What you do in your past continues the next day, and the next day, and the next day until the end. Right.
yes. And I do remember the day we were watching that. I think was 2020, probably the time that we were together in the house. That was like we look at each other and we said,
It's like holy crap.
yes,
Holy crap! What does that mean? Okay, wait a second. And then we just had to rewind it a little bit and rehearse, and then we had to listen to him, of course, keep going, and then the information started to make sense, and then your life starts to make sense more in a different way. I'd say.
right. And then you see how we repeat, like he gave an example, go to work and stuff like that, but like for me when I listened to that part, when I saw that part, was like I am in the same hole of complaining.
Same hole, right?
Yeah,
You're
same
stuck.
place,
You're stuck in the same place. Same.
stuck in the same place as a complainer. And I
Right.
didn't realize I was such a complainer until I saw that. And then that was like the moment that I realized, wow, what I am doing and
Yeah.
what we were doing as a parent too.
hmm Right.
Because we know that having kids is brutal.
Brutal.
It's
Yes. But
very,
not in a bad way. But I'm just saying, brutal is difficult. It is difficult.
yeah, but like we don't have to come here and then we will also have this conversation many times. Like, guys, if there is parents listen here, like I think my most difficult job like is be a parent,
hmm
because it's not I remember when I was pregnant, like we plan as we go, right? We are practice we are
Yeah.
planning the birth, like planning birth, like the birth planning. Remember we had to do that. It's like
Yep.
uh, the planning business, it's a birth planning, whatever.
Yeah. Birth planning. Correct.
And then the birth planning goes like after the baby born, and then like comes the breastfeeding, and but then now the kids are 7 and 10,
hmm
and then like, wow, nobody taught us how to be a parent and be a parent that we chose to be in this process of awakening. It's very hard.
I was telling you before earlier about when we went to the movies last week, and we went to see the new Moana movie, Moana. And I remember like when we discussed this about like how the spiritual journey works. Now, most people when they see a movie like that, they just say, "Oh, it's a nice little cartoon about a woman who just goes on a boat ride to another place and then save her people." But it's more than that actually, because the spiritual journey is there, like because she's in a community where everything is just going well, everything's nice and comfortable, right? And then all of a sudden, things start to happen on the island, on the community, where they everything starts to fall apart, right? And so then she needs to figure out that she needs to go somewhere to help save the community, and then from there her people to say, "Oh no, you can't go past the reef. You can't go past a certain point in the ocean because something's going to happen to you." But she says, "No, I need to go no matter what," and then she does, right? So it's the idea of the journey itself, a life journey itself. Is most people are stuck in their their place at the moment, and they don't want to go past a certain point. They think it's too hard. What I'm saying is like when you go to see that movie and you try to understand it from our perspective, we know because we've been there that the spiritual journey is there where she needs to go past a certain point. Everyone needs to go past that point because it's like it's super hard. But once you get past a certain point, you go further and further in life.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I agree and I disagree,
Mm-hmm.
as this is how my rule here in your life.
Yeah, yeah. My alternate brain, right?
And that is very interesting because I think um, when you say like you correct me, like you said, we know like how hard it is. Like we still knowing
No, I
because
know we do. Like we do, we still
because
know. Yeah.
yes, it's not like we have everything figured out.
No.
Like
No.
you know that right now I am in a very scary place
Mm-hmm.
right now. And but even if we are scary,
Scared. Yeah.
we the fear, like sometimes the fear, we see the fear. At least I'm very intuitive and
Yes.
in my body and stuff like that. So I feel the fear coming and I can tell my hands on my stomach. But what that movie shows me, more important part was that we are not alone,
Mm-hmm.
especially when there was that part. If you guys didn't see the movie, I really recommend you guys go
Yeah.
see, or when it's on Disney, whatever, because it was that part that she was dead slash dead. She
Right.
didn't die, and all her community, that is whatever names you guys call, like her ancestrals, because the movie talks a lot about ancestrals. But
Yeah.
because we are in this body right now and we believe that we are only this body. But when they show that, when she was on the floor, and then all this being, this ancestor was there with her, and she didn't know, but she saw that moment. And I use this as a metaphor for my life sometimes, because we try to do everything in our own way and we want to work hard. We want to, we put the ego aside, like we put the ego in front of us. But when we
Yes.
ask for help, whatever you believe, right? If people believe on God, or if you believe in a source, I like
Yeah.
to really use the name source
Yeah.
because
Source is better in sometimes in a sense like okay if you don't believe in God like at least believe in a universal divinity or a source, right? Yeah.
yeah, and we also know that one day we're going to talk about this, the God. Like when people say the word, I don't like to use the, and we are in this process that sometimes you bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to use the word God anymore.
Right.
Like after learning everything that I study right now, and then the first question is which God? Like
Right.
there was imposed on us this word God. So I like to, anyway, this is not the point. The point is
Right.
like source. And you are part of a source, that you are not alone. There is a team working with you. And then when we ask for this team for help, oh, guess what? You get help. But you have
Yeah.
to believe it, right?
Yeah. You have to believe it. So let's get into the things that you've been working on because you decided to go this path you decided to go on to this business you get into, and we're going to look into that and see how things are going with that, and tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. So the business that, that since 2020, right? I start to, in this journey to discover, because a lot of questions come to my head is like, who am I, what I'm doing here, where I'm going, like this
Right.
existential questions. And you used to read a lot of books from James Hollis, right?
Yes.
Amazing
It's
psychologist.
great psychologist. Yeah.
And so, and there is some questions that it is in his book, bunch of books that is fascinating for me. So basically I did I was in, and I was trying to identify and find out who am I.
Hmm.
And in this process of discovering myself and try to find some answers, I end up doing a lot of courses,
Right.
spiritual courses,
Correct.
psyche abilities, even some a lot in Portuguese, some a lot of in English. And so basically now I work with a tool, is a technique, I would say is a technique that is not very common here is in North America,
Right.
but it's very common in Europe, like France,
Hmm.
England, and also Portugal, and in Brazil is very big. That it's called radies. In Portuguese, my pronunciation is radiestesia,
Hmm.
but in English is radiestesia, I
Yeah.
believe.
Radiesthesia. Yeah.
That a lot of people confusing that with dowsing, right?
Dowsing therapy. Yeah.
Right, because what dowsing, what radiesthesia is, basically, if you divide the name, is radio anesthesia. So, like, is you capture the energy,
Right.
okay? So, since everything is energy, right? This
Yes.
microphone that we are holding right now, me, you, everything is energy. So we can measure the frequency of this energy. In my case, I use the pendulum, right?
Right.
So I use the pendulum to identify in each frequency that being or that object it is.
Right.
And then the other part is to increase the frequency of this being
Right.
or the place, or because we do for houses too. But back to
Right.
the point. So we use radionic graphics. That is something that is would describe as sacred geometry that
Hmm.
we raise the frequency of the person.
Correct.
Let me give an example. Like I really start to work with the sh- the chakras,
Right.
right?
If anybody who doesn't know what chakras are, it's your energy points in your body, right? And the majority is, I mean, there's I think over 200 in total, but I mean the most common ones are the seven, right? Seven or eight that goes down your spine and from the bottom of your spine to the top of your head, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in those um wheel, they call wheels, like because there is a bunch of chakras. We have so many chakras in our hands, but the
Hmm.
seven principle, they are attached to each one of glands in our body.
Correct. Yeah.
So some people that might have some problems in their bones, or I'm not saying this is the reason, but could be the reason,
There are many
or
reasons. Yeah. Mhm.
could be the reason that you have lower self-esteem,
Right.
or you there is some people that have a physical
Ailments. Because
physical illness, like as a
yeah.
headache,
Yeah.
could be your third eye chakra. So when you raise the frequency of this each chakra of the human being, you see that the life of the person start to align, start to balance.
But that person also has to be with you with it. Like they can't just say, okay, just do it. They have to be like in connection with you. Like they have to believe it, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because
You can just say, okay, go ahead and do it, and then nothing happened, right? So, but it as long as you are in belief of it, like you understand it, then you're with you with it. You're
yes.
together with it.
So yes, the person needs to be open, at
Correct.
least open to try. I'm not saying that won't work if you don't believe it,
Hmm.
but at least because I had a lot of people who are just curious about it
Right.
and they see the difference when they align their chakras.
Right.
But if you are that person that you're stubborn, like in a way that, oh, I'm just want to prove a point that this doesn't work,
Hmm.
guess what? It
It's gonna
won't,
it's gonna be
because
exactly what you believe, right? So
correct.
yeah,
So, my point is, I'm not here to make people believe or do not believe. This is their problem.
it's
Like,
based
this is
on it's
their,
based on themselves, based on them.
yes, right. This is the therapy, one of them that I chose to work, because I see a lot of difference in my life, the way I approach, the way that I see how my life changed in so many levels. And I also am a Reiki practitioner,
Yeah,
that I was able to see that they are all connected, because energy healing, I know it seems is a big thing in a way that people, and that is a bunch of people who doesn't believe in that, is fine too, but you can change the mood. A person that sometimes come to in a place with you and talk to you, and they're mad, I start to sense some energy, like as a calm. Or I do this with the kids when
yeah.
they are very mad. Just like, okay, it's not working, they are not listening to my voice, so let me work in a different ways. And then just like, I see this calm down. It works, it does work.
Especially
Like,
this morning.
oh, I know, tell me
Yeah,
about it.
right. Yeah,
So basically, this is what I am working with. This is one of the tools that I use, is, yeah, radiesthesia.
very Stacy. Yeah, and Reiki is it's been around a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly it's Japanese,
Yes. So yes, Reiki is it's like, was from 1920s.
right?
So was in Japan, was a technique, was a teaching base from the name of the person who received this information was Mikao
Mhm.
Usui. So he was a monk
Right.
in Japan. So basically, he receives um, he channeling, let's say this word channeling, some sacred geometry, let's say,
Yeah,
that those geometry, they are with a lot of very aligned. And basically, like, it's the same idea as radiesthesia too, because you use some geometry to raise the frequency of the being or of the food. Some people use, like, you can use Reiki for a lot of things.
right.
And yet, I don't know if you know, but in Brazil, the organization, the health organization in Brazil, they use Reiki in hospitals.
Right.
So some people that, because become an alternative healing, right? Alternative medicine,
Yeah.
would say. So in some people, like in some hospital, is allowed, like, I mean, is a part of the practice.
Yeah,
So
which
that
is way different than over here in North America. They don't really believe in alternate therapies, right? So
well, but I think it's changing,
it's
Nato.
changing,
It's
but slowly, right?
yes, because you guys, I think you guys here are very physical. You guys
Hmm.
are physical beings. Like, we all we are, but they don't believe that we are spiritual beings, because we
Right.
are we are spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Yeah, physical experience in our bodies. Yeah.
And yes, so who is that? Who makes me talk? Well, if you go to science, they're going to say that is a part of my brain that goes to my nerve system, that goes to my vocal. Yes, but there
Right.
is a conscious, like, where am I going after this body die?
Right.
I'm not going to cease. I will continue to exist, not in this form, in a different form. And
Correct.
you know, we have some friends that we have a lot of discussions about that believe that we are just this body, right?
Hmm.
And and it is what it is.
And if we discuss this sort of thing, they probably think we're out of our minds.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. But once once like I said, the awakening has to happen for you to get to this point, right? So you have to understand that there's more to life than just this physical body and so forth. There's more to it, and once you start to get it, like I've spoken to on this podcast before, that when you start to meditate, when you start to meditate and you start to be in tune with your body, You start to see things. I can't listen. I'm a very big skeptic. Before I started all this, I said to myself, the first thing I said to myself, I cannot meditate. Cannot. I cannot do it. And then I started doing it, and then it took me a long time. I took over a year to really get to a point where I need to be. And I still cannot explain the things that I see when I meditate. I can't explain why my body does what it does when I meditate, but there's a reason for it. I mean, I've looked. Both of us have looked into the reasons, but like I said, once you get into the meditation and once you get tuned to your body, then you start to understand and you start to awaken. That's what I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you cannot, um, I know it's not your intention, but I just put out there. You cannot prove to people what you have seen, because this
Right.
is not the point to prove,
You have to
right?
see it to believe it. Yeah.
Correct.
The
It's
majority of
just
people I speak to people I work with or they'll say, well, I tried it one time and didn't work. Nothing happened. Right. So like when you hear those kind of statements, it's because people are still stuck. Right. Now, the thing is, look at it from this perspective. Now, if you say I meditated and nothing happened the first time, or did it twice, nothing happened. It's the same thing as this. If you say I want to lose weight, but I went on a treadmill for 20 minutes and nothing happened. Well, of course nothing happened because you only did it one time. It's repeated process, and it's of course learning how to be better with your health and eating properly and so forth. And then afterwards, when you start going on and exercising over a period of time, then results will happen. It's the same thing with meditation. You have to meditate every day. You have to meditate. If it's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, I do sometimes an hour. Once you do that and it's repetitive, then that's when starts things start to happen in the correct way, I'd say.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Because we are accustomed with this instant gratification. We want the results here
Instant, yeah.
and now, right? We want the results now because
They
it's
want to wait
hard.
for it. They want to wait for it. People don't want to wait for anything. I want the big house now. I want the beautiful car now. I want the like luxurious vacation now. It again. It's a process. You have to go through it slowly.
Yes. And nothing wrong in wanting.
No, you can want whatever
I
you
would
want.
like, I want to lose weight now. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
and then we could make a connection as us and kids, right? Because sometimes when the kids arrive from school, like, oh, I want my pasta now. I want to eat this
Yeah.
now. It's
Where's
the
dinner? Like, where's dinner? It's not ready
where's
yet. I
dinner?
think so.
It's we can just do this connection, or we can transfer like how we are as an adult,
Yes.
that when we want something and we want now.
Right.
I think I can make this transfer. Like I think the universe feels the same way we feel as a parent, not
Mhm.
comparing like there, but just an idea for it's a metaphor. They're like, listen, sweetheart, you want your meal, but you have to wait for your meal to get done. Like you're gonna wait for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever that is. It's like whatever you want to see in your meditation, or the changes you want to see in your life, you also need to make those changes
Correct.
because
That's
it's
that's why they say patience. That's why I say patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue for a reason because it takes time to accomplish what you need.
it does, and sometimes it's very frustrated
Of
because
course.
we feel frustrated, and
Hmm.
it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay sometimes you just kick some doors, and it's okay because we feel that all the time, like.
Frustration is a normal emotion, right?
But what we do with this frustration,
Yeah.
how
How do we channel it?
correct, what we're going to do with this energy that is here, we can see that is bothering us, we would like to have a change, we like to make a difference, but sometimes we get stuck and then we go back, we reward again, and we do something different. It's frustrating, it's tiring, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
And we have to stop, go back into the beginning of our conversation, that old Cynthia that would love to complain.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. Now I look back and I see how my life was in a complaining pattern.
Right.
It was intense, very intense. And I noticed that I was attracted to the same people
Mm-hmm.
because we were in the same frequency level, so we were just aligned in the same frequency. And when I stopped to complain, those people disappeared in my life.
Right.
I don't sit and talk to I don't have time to complain anymore,
Right.
because it's not going to get me anywhere. Okay, I
No,
can complain for 5 minutes that I do with you, and you know I complain here and there, but just like, okay, move on, because okay, let's
because
have a
complaining is not going to change your life. It's
yeah.
just gonna, you're gonna vent, which is great, but it's not going to change anything. To change requires action.
Oh
The
yes, of
complaining
course.
is just words. Complaining is just words. Complaining, like, the action is important to get your life the right way.
We have to
Life in the right direction.
yes, at least put us on a. I see our life as a train station, that there is different pathways that and sometimes we are not in a line with the train station, I would say.
Not on the same track. Yes.
Yes, and then we just go there, go here, go there, but like
Go
and
left or
then
right.
that is okay too. It's
Mm-hmm.
a process to get out of the train or the line of the train. But when we realize that won't take you anywhere, and we also able to go back and look for like where I was when I was in this position of complaining.
Right.
Like I felt so much pain in my stomach. I remember for more than 20 years, my 20s, I have so much stomach pain.
Right.
Like, and I couldn't understand. I remember I went to doctors in Brazil. I did a lot of tests. I took a lot of medication. My my stomach pain, I was stuck. I would say after 2019, when I started to do the psychotherapy with the therapist, that when I start to realize that that pain was emotion,
Right.
was a lot of no's that I didn't know how to say, was a lot of things that I used to do with resentment for people
Mm.
because I couldn't say no, that I couldn't step the foot and like be the person that I meant to be or I want to be. I was feeling a role. And then after I was able to like open the onions that I'm still open. It's like a process of open,
Unpeel the
unpeel
onion.
the
Yeah.
onions.
Yeah.
Thank you for correct my English. So then it starts to like, oh, okay, so this was a sign that my body was talking to me that I wasn't aligned with at least the person that I want to be, or I wasn't in the process to be the person that I would like to become. Guys, after I realized that, I have no stomach pain.
Right.
Zero. Zero.
Correct.
And another thing that I also realized like a couple years ago, I thought that pain was together with hungry.
Right.
And then what I used to do, eat more
Eat
because I
emotion. Right.
was hungry. I
Hmm.
was feeling a hole that was there, but wasn't to be filled with food.
Right. And we know people in our lives who have like these like we don't want to mention their names, of course, but people who have ailments. It could be even a simple ailment on the skin or something, and then or like a stomach ache or a headache or some sort, anything like that. And we know that, like, because we just know them very well, like from friends or so forth. But they created this ailment, this illness, by a change in their life, which caused more stress.
Oh, of course.
Right. So the stress, like we all know, if you look at, we watch Dr. Lipton, who talks
Hmm.
about, and he mentions that now it's been shown that 90% of all illnesses are due to stress. So
Hmm.
so when we see that and we say, okay, this person, all of a sudden their stress level is higher than usual than
Hmm.
before, and now they're starting to get problems here, here, and here, right?
Right.
And so there's a connection to it. Your connection is your mind is, if your mind isn't working well, it's more stressed than usual, then it's going to come out different parts of your body. Could be back pain, could be headaches, could be skin problems. All those things are connected to stress.
Hmm.
Not everything, but like I said, 90% now they're saying.
Right. And there is also the belief, right? Because
Yes,
the genetic belief, because we believe that my father, my mother, my grandmother, they have a breast cancer or whatever cancer
our
I will
genes.
have because it's a gene.
Yeah,
And this
genes.
is not the truth.
Right.
This is not, but the point is if you believe, guess what? And it's very like I love Dr. Lincoln. They have a
Yeah.
lot of information, guys. Like it just like there is so many people that we could suggest. We could one day just make a podcast with
About him,
suggestions.
yes. About things about him, yeah.
I think
It's
no, but I think the
Dr. Bruce Lipton. If I'm yeah,
yes,
yeah,
people that we read, people like books that seminar that we watch,
yeah,
and that we can like get a lot of information and just like if you're ready to like don't go as a person that you go to at least be curious,
yeah.
right?
Like you just, the information is available out there.
Oh yeah.
Anybody's listening, information is available out there for anything you want to know. You just have to click the right clicking, like the click, yeah, the right website, because it, we tend to go where mass media goes, where the majority of people are listening to, and then we get the wrong information. So if you actually do more alternative and start to learn things in that direction, then things start to open up, really.
Yeah. The problem is sometimes that because happens to me too many times, and it still happened because I don't remember something that you told me. You told me something last week that I was like, no, I just like right away. But
Hmm.
what my point is, sometimes we go with the mind that we have a misconception, we have a belief that we think that we are right.
Yes.
Like when we go with this mind for anything, like there is a book that I love and I highly recommend people to read, is Rethink Again.
Hmm.
We are, guys, people who change their opinions. We are going to constantly changing our opinions because we are evolving.
Yes.
Like I'm not the same person when we start the podcast, and I'm not
Right.
gonna be this person whatever when you listen now. Today is November no,
December.
December 6, 2024. We
Right.
might be listening this a year ago, yeah, a year in a
From
year
now.
ahead
Yes. From
or
now.
6 months. We're gonna be like, look at that. We're just saying some stupid things. I'm just giving an
Yeah.
example.
New information all the time. Like even like I always put a little disclaimer on my blog and everything where it says I'm allowed to have a different opinion in 6 months or a year. My opinion can change based on new information. Just
Yes,
because
because,
I thought this way 10 years ago doesn't mean that I am that person.
oh my
Because we
God,
say, yeah,
I hope I don't think the same way that I
right.
was thinking 10 years ago.
No,
I wanna think way better, way different. That means I evolve, I'm learning, I'm remembering stuff. Because I believe we are here to remember. Remember who we are. Remember why we are here for. Remember, like that is a part of our brain that we don't remember. We have all the knowledge inside of us. It's
right.
inward,
It's inward.
inward.
Yeah, it all comes inward.
But we need to go outsource, outside to read to remember the physical mind the brain needs to remember stuff we have to read and then the information is coming it's coming slowly 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 so
That's it.
yeah.
And that's a great way to end the show today. So, if you guys want to hear more and get in touch with Cynthia, I'm going to link her Instagram, I think, in on the show notes, and you can look at her up and go to Instagram and see what she's about. And then from there, you can decide for yourself if you want to contact her. She's always available. Okay. So thanks for tuning in today. And Cynthia, thanks for coming into the show today and on your very busy schedule. And I'll see you later. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll talk again later. Thank you. Ciao.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Have a good day. Thank you, Nato, to invite me.
No problem.
Bye.
Anytime.